Well, the Blue Jays keep winning and the Tigers keep sliding. Good thing they got out to that great big lead in the AL Central A. MLB Game Night. We'll get it. Every game, every night. We are underway.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
And welcome in, everyone. He is Jeff Carr, one of the hosts for Locked On Reds podcast. You can follow Jeff Carr on the Twitter, on the X at Jeff Carr, at Locked On Reds. He is also the Locked On MLB channel manager as well with Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Steve Lenox, host of the Locked On Red Sox postcast. You can follow me on the X at Lenox on Baseball. Jeff, Mariners beat the Angels. They held on for the victory in the series opener in Anaheim, but they also pull off a trade for a lefty bat that we're going to get into with the trade deadline now inside a week away, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Orioles able to avoid a series sweep, and as I touched on, the Mariners win the game. The Blue Jays open up a series in Detroit, and they take game one against the Tigers. We get into everything with MLB Game Night, every game, every night, presented by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off on your first purchase. Yes, we have a light slate of games and from Thursday, Jeff, and we're going to open up with the Blue Jays and Tigers in Detroit on Thursday. With that, we welcome in Scott Bentley. He joins us live on MLB Game Night to talk about the Tigers right now. And Scott, appreciate taking a couple of minutes with us. The Blue Jays take the opener, and Reese Olson was dealing until he wasn't, and he ran into trouble in the sixth inning. But this is a stretch right now where is it push the panic button for the Tigers fan base, or is it just another division leader going through a funk right now, and their funk is now going into a second week?
Well, that's the $1 million question. I think, it's an interesting place to be just because they got off to such a great start. They were the first team in baseball to 30, 40, 50, 60 wins, right? Like they were so good. And like Zach McKinstry was an all-star. Like everything that could have gone right in the first half went right outside of like Job getting hurt. Like outside that was everything that could have possibly have gone right did. And so I think, I even talked about it on the show, like a little bit of, water finding its level was bound to happen. I don't think anyone expected, again, Zach McKinstry to have an 820 OPS at the end of the season. Like there was always going to be some of that, but I think this has gotten to such an extreme spot where it is, since the All-Star break, they have the worst offense in baseball, the worst bullpen in baseball, and the only thing keeping them from not being one of the worst rotations in baseball is Tarek Skubal. So, it is everything has collapsed at the exact same time, and everyone's freaking out. They still ultimately have an 8-game lead in the division. Like, I'm not, oh my goodness, that the season's over. Like, no, they still have one of the biggest divisional leads in the entire sport. But I think that it happening near the deadline is big because it's definitely highlighting what needs to be added. That is for sure.
Scott, Reese Olson's one of those guys that it kind of feels like should be slotting in right behind Tarek Skubal. And this was, at least when you look at the box score, not one of his better starts this season. Is this indicative of what you've been seeing recently, or is this just an aberration that next time he's going to bounce back?
Yeah, I think I would lean the latter, but I think it's a really fair question. Like he's still so young and has missed time with injury. I mean, in fact, right now he is probably 4 starts back from the injured list, like missed a solid month and a half-ish there, May and into June. We are still trying to figure out what his ceiling, I guess, is, but yeah, like you look at this stuff. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at him pitch and be like, wow, that moves a lot and goes really fast. Like there is certainly talent there. It's just, guys whose best pitches, starters, I should say, whose best pitches are sliders, like especially as righties. It's like, well, that's great if you're hitting your spots. If you're not, you're hanging them all. And you see performances like tonight where, kind of everything just gets crushed there at the end of the outing. So, I really like him still long-term. I think you're right, but there is definitely a debate of like, is this guy a number 2 behind Tarek, or is he more of like a 3 or a 4? And that is a very legit question.
How concerned are you on the 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position? Kind of felt like they had a number of base runners there, a number of opportunities, just couldn't quite bring that right guy up to the plate.
Yeah, and honestly, the biggest, I don't want to say the biggest issue because, again, everything's an issue over the last 11 games, but the thing that frustrates me the most is the performance of Riley Green over that stretch. I am not kidding. I am not joking you. His K rate in the month of July is like pushing 50%. It is astonishing. Like his whiff rate in the month of July is astronomical, and it's in zone and out of zone, right? Like you're talking about, not only is he chasing, even the hittable pitches he gets, he is swinging through. And so I think that is probably the biggest frustration with fans in this stretch is like, okay, we expected Javi to come back down to earth, right? We expected McKinstry to fall off maybe a little bit. Trey Sweeney wasn't gonna, like, his OPS starts with a number 5. Like we're not, but we did have faith that Riley Green, who was an all-star game starter and whose OPS pushed to 900 at the end of June, was going to maintain that to some extent. And now it's down to 830 and he strikes out almost every at bat. So I think that, to your point, like, the team has been fantastic with RISP this season, but that's because they've gotten production from the middle of the lineup guys. And now their best hitter is striking out again every other at bat. And I think that's probably the biggest cause for concern.
Scott Bentley, Locked On Tigers, joining us here on MLB Game Night. You can follow Scott on the X at Bentley, Scott at Locked On Tigers as well. Scott, I know and we're talking about the Tigers and their series opening loss at home against the Blue Jays. Again, 11-4, the final in the series opener Thursday night. I know it's only one game of a 4-game series, but Tigers took 2 out of 3 from the Jays back in May. 2 months later, again, it's only one game in this series, but what's different about Toronto right now for you?
Wow. You want to talk about a team that is unfortunate to play while you're in a losing streak. I'd say that the Red Hot Blue Jays are toward the top of that list. That is a team that is absolutely surging. I mean, again, one game in, like, we faced Eric Lauer and he pitched into the 8th inning, dude. Like that is, I think, if you want to compare what I saw on Thursday to what we saw earlier in the year, it's just as simple as the Blue Jays pitching, right? Like you knew Vlad was going to hit. Honestly, I mean, there's a couple of guys that have kind of, what's his face at third base that hits nukes. But anyway, they have obviously some young offensive pieces, Bichette, et cetera, that you knew were going to produce. Outside of Gausman, the rotation was kind of a question mark. Like, is Berrios going to have one of his good Berrios years or bad Berrios years? Like, you have that whole conversation kind of every single calendar year. And I think that is kind of the thing. I look at the pitching matchups, the rest of the series, right? And it's Gausman, it's Max Scherzer in 2025, who has an ERA over 5, but like, it's still Max Scherzer, and like, our offense isn't hitting. Like, that's not exactly, he's obviously comfortable with Comerica, like, not a recipe for success. And then Berrios. So like, I don't know, like, that is something that going into that series, I was rather confident in the offense's ability to score. This time, like, we're still going to get, hopefully, Tarek Skubal, assuming he's back from paternity leave. Congratulations. Bad timing for your kid, unfortunately. But we really need you. But go take care of business. So it'll be interesting. But I think that's probably the biggest one for sure.
Are the Tigers or the Blue Jays the best team in the American League?
I mean, I don't know how you don't say the Blue Jays, really. Like, again, the Tigers have lost 10 of their last 11. Like, that, this is not like like it's one series or oh, you got swept and you're overreacting. Like, this is pretty much, with the All-Star break included, like, you're talking about pretty much the whole month of July. They also sent 6 All-Stars to the All-Star game, and all 6 of them sucked. So, like, you have that going for you too,
True.
which is not exactly helping everyone's optimism, I'll say. But yeah, like, joking aside, I think it's pretty hard to bet against the Jays right now. Yeah,
Scott, great stuff. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Scott Bentley joining us. Great stuff from Scott there, Jeff. And we're going to transition here in just a moment. But, 6 All-Stars. And I give him credit. It's got to be hard to say right now Toronto's a better team in the AL. Great follow-up right there from you because, I mean, that's a guy. That's our Locked On Tigers expert right there conceding right now. It's not us right now. It was a couple of weeks ago and everything was going great. But right now, not so much.
It's tough when your stars aren't starring. Like if Riley Green is striking out 50% of the time, it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah. Let's move on. National League Baseball in St. Louis, Padres, Cardinals. And, the Cardinals, 6 runs in the second inning, pick up a victory in Game 1. And with that, we get the details from our guy, JD, Locked On Cardinals. Jeff, something happened for me with my videos. Any chance you're able to lock in with JD here?
Let's see here.
Sorry about that. Let me try. Something's going on with my videos here.
That is strange. It's not playing for me either.
All of a sudden. And we can't bring up any of my videos right now. I'll go into some details. Jeff, if you can maybe work on that. I apologize for that with the technical difficulties. I don't believe we've had that before. But getting into some of the details, and JD hopefully here will have them as well. But Cardinals score 6 runs in the second inning, first of a 4-game series at Busch Stadium against the San Diego Padres. 6 runs in that second inning. And the Cardinals do take the opener 9-7. Brendan Donovan, 3-run home run, that with 2 outs. Put the Cardinals on top 4-2 later in that second inning. Wilson Contreras also a 2-out, 3-run home run. That put the Cardinals up 7-2. Both home runs, again, coming with 2 outs against Yu Darvish, and he's had a tough go of it for San Diego. Darvish, his line, ugly, 3 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 8 earned runs. He gave up the 2 home runs. Sonny Gray, not just his 10th win of the season, but his line not as ugly as Yu Darvish, but it wasn't pretty by any means. 5 innings, 11 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned. And he gave up 2 home runs. Ryan Helsley gave up 1 hit, struck out 2 in the 9th inning. Helsley, the save, is 20th on the season. I think that's a name that you're going to hear a lot about between now, Friday, the weekend, and into next week with the Major League Baseball trade deadline coming up on July 31st, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. There was a trade, and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Seattle and Arizona pulling off a trade, 2 minor league prospects and pitching prospects at that, going from Seattle to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks sending Josh Naylor back to Seattle as they add a bat. They pick up a victory in Anaheim in the series opener that we're going to touch on here a little bit later on, and also the big trade as well. That's the first, really. You can say that the Boston Red Sox sending Rafael Devers to the Giants a while back sort of got things going, but with the trade deadline now inside a week away, we've got our first, and I think you can call it a big trade. A major trade, maybe not, but that's a lefty bat that's not off the market that a lot of teams were in with the Diamondbacks on with Josh Naylor. How's our technical difficulties going?
Let's try this here. I've got this ready to go.
Well, how about that? The St. Louis Cardinals get blanked on Wednesday in Colorado against the worst team in Major League Baseball. And then on Thursday, they come home and they put up 9 runs against one of the best.
Not sure what happened there that time.
I'm at a loss.
In Major League Baseball. Hey, it's JD from Locked On Cardinals, and the Cardinals pull out the victory on Thursday night with a 9-7 victory over the San Diego Padres. They do defeat Mike Schilt, their former manager, which is, always nice, always feels good. What didn't feel good was watching Sonny Gray struggle again on the mound. He has not pitched well recently, and the ERA for the month of July is close to 8 right now. I don't know what's going on with Sonny Gray. Luckily, the offense answered the bell. They got that huge second inning. They score 6 runs, 2 3-run jacks, one from Brendan Donovan, one of them from Wilson Contreras. Ivan Herrera goes yard later on in the game as well. Helsley shuts it down. The bullpen was very good. They get 4 scoreless innings. So nice to pick up a W. Doesn't mean that they shouldn't sell at the trade deadline. They definitely should. But it is nice to get a win in front of the home crowd. For the latest updates and info, be sure to keep it Locked On Cardinals.
Right after Eric Fetty, maybe it's something Eric Fetty did. There's some sort of infection in that pitching staff for the Cardinals. Like, just Sonny Gray's just not getting right either. They need something to reset them there.
We're going to try to reset with the rest of our shorts the rest of the way. We're going to talk about the Guardians wrapping up their series on Thursday, looking for a series sweep against the Orioles. Were they able to pull it off? We'll have the details next. It is MLB Game Night.
The next time that you get down to the ballpark, you got to do it using Game Time. Game Time is the best way to travel around Major League Baseball. I have done this. I've done to San Francisco. I've gone to Pittsburgh. I've gone to Boston. So many different places with Game Time. And I'm from Cincinnati, so I know what the view from my seat's going to look like in Cincinnati. Don't necessarily know what it's going to look like out at Oracle Park, but Game Time is going to show me because they give you all the best information on your ticket. Check out Game Time today. And with your first purchase, if you use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB as you're setting up your account, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Plus, you've got the great Game Time deals that you get close to the first pitch. All of that being said, you get to save some money on some tickets. So check out Game Time today. They've got the last minute tickets at the lowest prices, guaranteed.
Steve Lenox, Jeff Carr, latest edition of MLB Game Night, every game, every night. We've touched on the Blue Jays and their series opening victory in Detroit against the Tigers. We heard from Scott Bentley, and also the Cardinals picking up a victory in their series opener at home at Busch Stadium in St. Louis against the San Diego Padres. Jeff, we now get into Orioles Guardians. They were actually wrapping up a series in Cleveland on Thursday. The Guardians were looking for the series sweep. I'll have you hit the video, but let's welcome in Justin Latta, Locked On Guardians. He's got the details. And although the Guardians did not complete the series sweep, Justin always finds a silver lining.
And gold can stay. The Guardians' winning streak is over. They didn't sweep the Baltimore Orioles. They lost 4-3 on Thursday in the finale. But you feel a lot better about this team losing the way they did and realizing this is not a complete setback. What's up? It's Justin Latta from Locked On Guardians. Logan Allen allowed 3 runs in the first inning, one of them not really his fault, on an error and by Angel Martinez in center field. So in theory, I guess they could have at least tied this game sent to extra innings, but they battled back. Stephen Kwan had 2 home runs. Seems like his wrist is feeling just fine. The Guardians, the 3 games he missed because of the wrist injury, they won 2 of them. And now it seems to be fully healthy. So you want to know what? Playing the All-Star game and then resting the wrist when he did, it seems to be working out just fine for them. He's playing really well. And yeah, Logan Allen bounced back fine for that first inning, gave the Guardians really 6 strong innings of work. The bullpen obviously gave up a run, which is why they lost, and the offense just didn't have enough outside of Stephen Kwan's home runs. They had a bases-loaded opportunity and only got a sac fly out of it. It is what it is. But the team's playing a lot better right now, and hopefully they can carry this into Kansas City, where they'll keep it going and try to keep themselves in the wild card race, and who knows, maybe chase down the Tigers. The important thing the Guardians can do, though, as trade rumors heat up, we're a week away from the trade deadline, is adding a bat somewhere, maybe adding a bullpen piece, and there's a way they can maybe increase their ceiling by subtraction. We'll talk about that on Locked On Guardians. Make sure you tune in.
Jeff, Justin there mentioned Logan Allen, rough first inning. Gave up a home run to Ramon Laureano, a 2-out, 2-run home run, his 14th, third of the series. And then Ramon Urias had an RBI single to make it 3-0. And then Kwan ends up tying the game up at 3-3, but Gunnar Henderson RBI single for the Orioles. You know, the Orioles right now, 45-57. Charlie Morton made the start, picked up the win. But, you know, right now you're in that window where it's like, you're going to say this about a lot of players. Charlie Morton very well may have made his final start with Baltimore with the trade deadline next Thursday.
Yeah, he's really picked it up here recently. The ageless Charlie Morton. I love that whole kind of like tree that they had of like Charlie Morton faced Jamie Moyer, and you go all the way
Yes.
back to like Warren Spahn, and it's not really that many steps. But the way that Charlie Morton's pitched here recently, it's like someone told him, "Hey, you could be in the playoffs here soon if you get your act together." And he's been pitching well. From the Guardians' perspective, though, it kind of feels like if Steve Kwan gets a multi-homer game and you don't win, man, that's tough because he doesn't do that a whole lot. He gets a lot of hits. He's really good at getting a lot of hits, but he's not a power guy. And so to see him get a multi-homer game and a loss is quite an anomaly.
Again, Orioles pick up the 4-3 victory. All 4 of their runs in the victory on Thursday coming with 2 outs against Logan Allen and the bullpen as well. So we move on from Cleveland at home against the Orioles, wrapping up that series on Thursday. First of a 4-game series in Houston, Athletics and Astros. And hey, the Athletics take the victory in game 1. With that, we're going to hear from Eric Heisman, Locked On Astros.
Sometimes baseball is just going to baseball, and that's what happened to the Astros on Thursday night as they faced the A's. They're riding high after sweeping the Diamondbacks and coming in to today tied with the Blue Jays for the best record in American League. My name is Eric Heisman with the Locked On Astros podcast. Unfortunately, Luis Severino, who's a road warrior this year, he was too much for the Astros as the Astros lose this game. Unfortunately, it was a 5-2 deficit, and the Astros offense just couldn't get anything going. 8 strikeouts were too much by Luis Severino, and Jason Alexander, whether he's from Seinfeld or not, just couldn't limit the A's offense, and the Astros drop this game, but there's 3 more games against the A's, and the Astros have a way to still win this series. So we're going to talk about this on tonight's Locked On Astros.
Yeah, it really felt like Jason Alexander had the cotton uniforms on tonight. I don't necessarily know this. Had his best
second
stuff.
Seinfeld reference. I love it.
Don't know if he had his best stuff there on the mound, but yeah, that's an interesting take that he had on Severino, because it kind of feels like the moment the A's get a call about Severino, he's gone, because dude hates pitching in Sacramento, loves pitching everywhere else.
Yeah, and Morton to Severino. I mean, Severino can bring something back. And in the contract that he signed with the Athletics organization, knowing where they were going to play in 2025 in the next couple of years, contract's not a huge albatross for anyone going forward, even the Athletics.
No, you get a middle of the rotation guy like him for the money that he costs, and you can absolutely make sense of that, especially in this kind of market right now with the way that free agents are getting paid anymore. So I definitely think the A's will get rid of him here soon, and his road record and his road splits are just the perfect reason for anybody to put somebody in there. And hey, Nick Kurtz, man, my goodness, they got a future with this guy. I know I've talked with Justin Ladd and I've talked with Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians, and they're like, we couldn't really rationalize the Guardians picking him number 1 overall, but maybe we should have.
Yeah, and I mean, these college bats are getting to the big leagues in a hurry nowadays. And he's he's case number 1 or 1A of, hey, they can get up there and have success, and he's doing it. Caglione or Dylan Cruz has been injured for the Nationals, but Nick Kurtz is going up there and saying, hey, it's 60 feet 6 inches, and I like my chances against whoever's out there, no matter if they're spinning it or throwing 98.
No, it's crazy to see him work.
The loss did snap the Astros 4-game win streak. They're 4-3 since the break. So they lose and the Mariners win in Anaheim. We're going to get into that coming up in segment number 3. But, things are, again, getting tight in that AL West. I love it. I want division races from here all the way through the dog days of August, and then the sprint all the way to the finish in September as well. The A's, again, pick up the victory and avoid a 5th straight loss. They're just 2-5 since the All-Star break. Mariners, yes, they're chasing the Astros in the AL West, opening up a 4-game series in Anaheim against the Angels on Thursday, and they were able to hold on in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Plus, they pulled off the first trade leading up to the deadline next Thursday. Jeff and I will discuss that as well. It's MLB Game Night.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Game Day Hue, and so is this hat that I'm wearing. For Reds fans like me, this one hits the mark because Game Day Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, and anywhere in between. The glove is super comfortable, really helps me play well on the course, and I mean, it just screams Reds. Look at this. Absolutely love the Game Day Hue glove. You got to check out Game Day Hue today. Right now, you can get 15% off with the code MLB15 over at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, and the code is MLB15.
Happy to have you on board. MLB Game Night, Steve Lenox, Jeff Carr, MLB Game Night, every game, every night. The final game of 5 from Thursday, and we'll be able to talk about the trade between the Diamondbacks and the Mariners here. We're going to hear from Ty Dane Gonzalez in just a moment, but the Mariners not only pull off a deal to add a lefty bat and Josh Naylor, they also hold on for the victory. 4-2 the final from Anaheim. Mike Trout walked to load up the bases in the bottom half of the ninth inning, but the Mariners managed to get the final out, win it 4-2, and leave the bases loaded. So a good day all around, a good Thursday for the Mariners. They pull off a trade, they win, Astros lose, they get a little closer in that AL Western Division.
And there's few people right now that are hotter than Julio Rodriguez. J-Rod's finally figuring it out.
Coming around.
Power. He's finally figuring it out. And my fantasy team is very happy about that, by the way. But he's hitting the ball really well, and that's just adding on to what Cal Rowley's been doing in this lineup here. You add that bat that we'll talk about here in just a minute, and you start to kind of see a lineup that, as much as the Mariners are hanging around in the AL West, the Astros better not get too comfortable playing the A's and losing games here and there, because this Mariners pitching staff can beat anybody. And if they get a lineup that can support them well enough on a day in and day out basis, it's going to be tough to really see anybody else getting on top of them in a playoff race.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez, solo home run number 15, tied the game at 1 in the 5th inning. A couple of batters later, Randy Arozarena. I really like him. I liked him when he was with the Rays. 2-run home run, Mariners up 3-1, number 19 for Arozarena. Both home runs against Yusei Kikuchi, who was firing 4 scoreless before he ran into trouble and got taken out in that 5th inning. Logan Evans made the start, 11th of the season for Seattle. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. Picks up the win, I believe, his 4th on the season, struck out 3, walked 3, and he fits nicely in the back of that rotation. Brian Wu, Gilbert, Kirby, he's fitting nicely as a rookie in that rotation, and probably goes unnoticed, but that's okay. Just you give 5 innings and you're out, and you're giving your chance a team to win. You're doing your job.
Just be that guy every 5th day that the Mariners turn to in this one. Yeah. How about this one, though, Steve? Like, if I'd have told you a game had 12 pitchers in it, and then that game only had 6 total runs scored, you'd have been like, what happened? Like, it feels like a lot of missed opportunities here by both teams with guys on the bases. But, I mean, there really weren't a whole lot of clutch hits. I think both teams combined, they combined for 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Clutch hitting, not happening tonight here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and Zach Neto had a 2-out RBI base hit to make it a 1-run game in the 7th inning. Next hitter, Mike Trout, tying run at second base, retired on a fly out, and that ended that threat. And again, they left the bases loaded in the 9th inning. We're going to talk about the trade, but let's hear from Ty Dane Gonzalez, as he's got reaction from the Seattle side as they acquire Josh Naylor for 2 minor league pitching prospects, and we'll touch on that as well. But Ty Dane Gonzalez with reaction to the Mariners adding the lefty bat.
First splash of deadline season has been made, and it comes via your Seattle Mariners. This is Ty Dane Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast here. Per everyone at this point, the Seattle Mariners have acquired first baseman Josh Naylor from the Arizona Diamondbacks for pitching prospects Brandon Garcia and Ashton Izzy. And real quick on the compensation, because I'm sure that's what you're really curious about here, that is more than reasonable. Really. Now, Brandon Garcia is my guy, of course, friend of the show, obviously. So wishing him nothing but the best in the next chapter of his career. But this is a big win for the Mariners here with this return for 2 months of a real first baseman. I think that's the most important thing here to note. The Mariners now actually have a real first baseman and one who checks off pretty much every box this Mariners front office has looked to check off when acquiring offensive talent. He doesn't strike out. He takes his walks. He hits for pop. He's a great fit for T-Mobile Park and a great fit for what this roster needs. And Colby and I are going to talk more about this one on an emergency episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast. We're about to record that one, so see you then. Peace.
I will not stand for the Rowdy Tellez slander that we have here. That man, no, I'm just kidding. No, Josh Naylor is an obvious upgrade over Rowdy Tellez there at first base, and that was a big get for them. And you can tell by the compensation part of this that maybe the Mariners have been talking with the Diamondbacks about Eugenio Suarez, as has every contender that needs a bat. Right. And maybe they didn't like what they were hearing as far as the competition goes and who's offering what and what's out there. But Josh Naylor maybe didn't necessarily have as many suitors, and they're getting themselves, like they said, a very nice power bat in the middle of the order.
Yeah, Brandon Garcia, number 13 prospect in the organization for the Mariners, going to Arizona, ranked number 13 by MLB Pipeline, but 25 years old. On the other side, Ashton Lizzie, who goes back, number 16 prospect in the organization. He's just 21. So they get a couple of pitching prospects back. And remember, Naylor was traded from Cleveland to Arizona for Slade Ciccone last December. So he doesn't even last a full year in Arizona, as it's going to be interesting to see what they look like a week from Friday.
Exactly. And I know that I saw a reaction from Jeff Ellis from Locked On Guardians on X, and he had mentioned that he did not think that the return that the Diamondbacks were getting for Naylor had held a candle to what the Guardians got whenever they sent Naylor to the Diamondbacks. So he kind of found it intriguing to see how everything worked out in that favor, albeit the Guardians themselves are looking for a big bat in the middle of their order. They probably could have used a Josh Naylor in there, but Slade Ciccone also a pretty decent pitcher for them as well.
And again, Naylor is a free agent after the season, so you can put late rental on him as a label for the 2 next months, as Ty Dane Gonzalez mentioned right off the top there as well. But that's a nice rental bat. Hey, Jerry DiPoto, go figure, pulls off the first trade, a week out from the deadline next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. He may not be done.
No, you can definitely bet that he is going to be active in this one. And I saw, too, that the Diamondbacks are ready to sell off like 5 or 6 other guys. I know they have a lot of expiring contracts. Of course, Eugenio Suarez is one of the most popular names being thrown around by anybody with playoff aspirations whatsoever. But they've got a lot of other players that they could shop. I mean, the Zach Gallons and the Merrill Kellys of the world, and how that can all play out for them as well. That team might look vastly different here in a week.
Give you one final swing, one final thought on the game slate from Thursday.
It's very interesting to see. I mean, the fact that you only had 5 games, but you had so many impactful games when it came to the top of the American League. Saw a little bit of shuffling in there because whoever is that third team, they're facing the loser in the American League East. And I mean, that could be the Yankees. So if you're that third team, if you're the Tigers and you fall down to number 3, you hang on to the division, but you fall down to number 3 in the American League, congratulations, you get to face Aaron Judge in the first round in a best of 5. Don't love those, or best of 3. Don't love those odds.
Hey, that is a wrap for our latest edition of MLB Game Night. Be sure to subscribe to the Locked On MLB YouTube channel. Hit the notification button, and that way you're going to get the alert when we go live with our latest edition of MLB Game Night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts.